Oh, it was Power here to review the Kamen Saber DX Kaenken Rekka Sound Update Edition. So this was an interesting premium item that was actually released in November of 2020. Yeah. Um, because this is essentially our memorial item for Saber. However, they wanted to do something different because of the fact the Kaenken Rekka, or the Seiken in general, is what actually has the sounds and not the Wonder Ride books themselves. So they wanted to have the dialogue uh, be yearly instead of having to wait until the end of the year. So that essentially, like, the technology that they were using is very similar towards to what Yokai Watch has been doing for the past several years. I'll explain more of it later. Obviously, we got Saber Brave Dragon on the left. We got the Kaenken Rekka right there, the logo. There we get the nice fire and then the bubbles. Kaenken Rekka Sound Update Edition. Let me zoom out. Again, just bubbles, Kamen Rider Saber. And then here we have this nice portrait of Saber Brave Dragon right here. So, let's take a look at it. So here we have the contents out of the box itself. Obviously we got the Seiken or Kaenken Rekka itself. And obviously we got the memory card, which is obviously going to be really important for this. Obviously this is going to be the way that you're going to be able to update the Seiken. This is a micro SD 1GB card with a base of a standard SD card with the Saber logo or sticker. Obviously moving this down, we'll put it on read on because for some reason my current camera memory card is stuck in that, so that sucks. Other than that, it's the, like, I think pretty standard like SD card they would typically use for like Yokai Watch and such. The Seiken itself, obviously I think for the most part it's pretty samey. The only difference obviously outside is that there's a obvious SD card slot. Other than that, the only main difference itself is the Kaenken Rekka emblem, as it's now in a metallic finish, which is pretty neat for sure. Like, they stated that like this is accurate in a way, but the main version of the Kaenken Rekka emblem is still translucent, which, as you can see from here and such, and comparing it. So yeah, you can just see the sheer differences that this paint adds to the Kaenken Rekka emblem, which is kind of neat. I really wish they might as well have just added, like, made a metallic paint versions for all three emblems, but I get it. So yeah, it's not really, like, it definitely gives it a different look, but like this one is still technically the main one. But you know, they just wanted to do something to make it different. Actually, you know what, I might as well just show the Seiken itself without the emblem, because obviously it's all the same. I thought they said something about adding like a silver sheen to it, but no, it's still really plasticky, which kind of sucks. Just because, like, this is a memorial item. But again, that's the only difference. And the serial number on the back of here, because they added a new item serial number up there and such. So yeah, when you turn this on, obviously by turning the switch on, So you get the same activation noise that you would typically get from the original. It's just that now the voice of the driver says Sound Update Edition. And when you get it straight out of the box, it should, assuming you got it new, you should have the memory completely wiped. So having the memory completely wiped actually makes it just act like the DX toy, as you can see from there. So no like new sounds or anything. So like nothing to like, you know, specify it, even when you transform. So yeah, you don't get anything. It's not that you don't get anything. This literally just acts like a standard Seiken that you would typically get, which is why you want to update or load the update file into this thing. So let's do a quick transition to that. So I apologize that this is not a screen capturing because I don't have space. So obviously you want to insert your memory card if it actually wants to focus into your memory SD card slot like so. So then your laptop should actually be able to read it and such. And I apologize if you're literally seeing all of these things. It's really bad. So you want to click into here. As you can see right here, I got Saber 03, and that's because in a previous recording I actually used that one to actually achieve the air sound, which I'll cut to right now. So basically I only have the files from Saber 09 through Saber 50, which is like, I assume this is from like January 22nd of 2021 through August 28th of 2021. So I'm gonna say from like episode 18 through 50. No, they didn't have 50 episodes. Technically they did, but yeah. So I have this all on Google Drive and such, but I'm going to do Saber 13, copy that, and then paste it to the SD card. Obviously, what you would want to do is go through the Google Drive link that I provided and download this entire folder like so. And then I think it will either ask you to, yeah, it will ask you to unzip the file, and then hopefully the process is smooth for you. I had a commenter talk about their issues on trying to obtain these files, which I feel really bad of not being as responsive to that person. And I really do hope that person finds a way of fixing that situation, because I did like multiple things, and you know, to try to get to that person's conclusion, as they were struggling with apparently having to unzip each file and the file's just not reading through for that person. So I feel really sorry for them and such. And I hope they got everything situated. But anyways, let's get the SD card out. So now what you want to do is make sure the toy's off, and then pull the SD card out, insert it into the slot like so. Again, the DX1 does have this slot, it just doesn't have the circuitry to be able to read the SD card and such. So, just wanting to bring that up. Now, when you turn it on, you get a message about loading the data in. Obviously now it's loading all the data into this, so this takes about like at max 2 minutes depending on the update. Obviously because I completely wiped the data and now reinstalling it, it's gonna take a while, so just watch that like so. So the Seiken tells you that the update's complete, and to make sure to remove the SD card right after you switch it off, because it's just going to permanently be green. And to remove the SD card, obviously you press it in once again, and then you want to like slide. You kind of want to like slide your finger up to the SD card and then grab your thumb to pull it out and such. You don't want to just like try to pull, because you can't do that. But yeah, when we turn it on, we should, obviously we're gonna get the same on activation sound. However, when we press the trigger now, will definitely notice something different. Because as we get Toma's voice now whenever we slash, just like the Chomu. And you get 4 right away. And then obviously you can still emblem scan and then get that respective character. So here we have Rintaro. Then obviously Raimei and Kazuchi, we will get Kento. Whoops. That's what happens when you run out of batteries and such. So I'll make sure to do that again. For the sake of the demo. So yeah, basically it'll just flash and tell you to change the batteries. So let me just switch the batteries for these two. Alright, so I replaced the batteries. So first thing we're actually going to showcase first is the compatibility you have with the sword driver, obviously, because when you slot it into the sword driver, as I frame it like so, this is actually where you're going to get all the phrases. Obviously, the phrases, you're going to have to look at the PDF file that they provided in February of this year, because of the fact, obviously, they took down the site. So for version up to version 1.13, the thing is that they don't number these phrases at all, sadly. But I'm gonna have to say they put it in backwards. I apologize. I never looked at this for a while, but Toma has about, I will say, I'm gonna just say 35 phrases in this mode. So we're obviously not gonna go through them all because that will ruin the whole point of a demo. So just like the Mumeiken or the Kyomu, when you press the trigger, when it's in the belt, you get a phrase of that corresponding rider. Again, I apologize if I accidentally skipped some dialogue. Just watch the demo. Obviously, I do want to state that some of these phrases are going to sound familiar to you because obviously they use these phrases specifically from this version into the Cross Saber and obviously into the Ultimate Dai Seiken set. But we'll get into that when we actually cover that. But I don't. Okay, I think we're around like episode. Wow. Alright. I will skip around to jump to like the latter half. Kento, Kento, Kento. We will jump to Toma's betrayal. Nope, I skipped it. Alright. I would just go through all this with each character. Also so I can practice framing, because this is the first time I'm actually filming the review before the demo. Again, I will say Rentaro, I think, has about like 25 phrases. Here are some Toma betrayal phrases. And that's it. Again, I'm breezing through these ones because there's like still some I have to address. And obviously Kento, obviously, as you can tell, he has the most functionality in this version. Apologize if you hear that beeping. Where's my dad? Something about life. I think we're getting close. Kento's dead. So yeah, that's basically, again, I apologize of kind of forgetting the time placement of these phrases. It's basically obviously for Toma and Rintaro, it's basically from episode 1 through episode 23. The episode before Primitive debuted, obviously Kento up to his death. So yeah, let's get into Wonder Ride book compatibility, as we still have a lot to do. So obviously we got Brave Dragon. Obviously transform like so. So obviously the transmission is the same, it's just that now you got Toma saying henshin, and obviously the attacks still apply, like Toma's voice still applies when you do the attacks. But however, when you hold the trigger down, you can do this before or after you transform, but it's just more accurate when you do it after transmission. When you hold the trigger down, you get phrases when they're transformed. Obviously, some of these phrases correlate to other forms or finishers and such, and basically you have to hold this for like 1.5 seconds for the phrase to actually play. And I really do like how the LEDs kind of flash to correlate with the voice and such. And then like it dims down when there's a pause and such. I think is a lot more helpful than just like, you know, having it in the sword driver. Like I didn't even know that Toma had a phrase that had like a 2-second pause. That's an example of a finisher. of a weapon finisher. I did not realize there's so much phrases. That's another finisher with the Kogoken Cycle, which I forgot I actually needed to show off. But yeah, that's. So yeah, that's when you're back. So let's do the basic finishers. So obviously let's do the Geki. So yeah, obviously it's the same thing, it's just that now you get the attack name in front of it. However, obviously as you know, Toa has never done the kick as Brave Dragon. He did the kick as Dragon Dominoki, to which I'm not going to bother showing you the transformation because it's the exact same. So let's just jump to straight to the finisher. Yeah, he doesn't even say it. Don't worry though. But when we do the Giri sound, so yeah, again we actually get the attack name added in front of the finisher, which is pretty cool. Just kind of sucks that it's like, you know, there's not more to it and such, because it's just like, it would have been cool, especially because this is a memorial item, even though it has the DX name to it. And doing the Hisatsu reads, I'll just do the one. It just has that additional attack sound. And I literally have not prepared myself because I suck. Wow. We will just do everything at once. This review is so badly formatted. Anyways, let's just get all three riders out right away. So. Obviously, Rentaro doesn't have as much phrases, but he does have some. So this is what I mean by, like, you know, some of the attacks are with it only when you hold this. So when I push this back, you get the Lion Wonder attack. I was gonna showcase something, but that's a spoiler. Again, Rentaro doesn't have as much. So there you get the Leo Cascade, and then the Giri. And I'll just quickly show this. Again, that's all the same. So, again, showing the basics. We're not even at the basics. I think Kento's case. I think Kento only has 2 because they're all about his dad. Okay, at least he has that one. Okay, I'm kind of glad he does have more. Alright, so I'll actually do the Giri first for Espada because that's what came up first. I forgot it did that. Again, I really like it when they... I really like it when they arrange things like that because it's pretty cool. Obviously, I'll do the Giri sound. I think I skipped the industry because I thought that's what the Giri did, but yeah. I should. So at this point, I'll just show you combo basics because basically, as you've already seen, this thing does have the finishers for the most part that were contained within the show. So for example, as I showed you before, the only exception so far out of Saber that we didn't see done was Dragon Dominoki. However, if we were to do Dragon... That's Care Barrels. If we were to do Dragon Hedgehog Peter, obviously we're not going to go through that. So, okay. I'll admit, this one, from what I know from the show actually, this one's actually not done correctly because this is actually a Giri sound, but then they incorporate in the Geki. So... So yeah, you get the attack for that one. And then, you know, you obviously do get your wonder combos. That's not the right book. I keep pulling out the wrong books. I think this one's a Geary. And then, obviously, you pull out this one. Obviously, you know, it's cool that, like, you know, it's like all these forms that, like, or kind of one-off actually do get things. Obviously, with certain forms that did happen, but didn't have, like, specific finisher phrases, they're not included. So, we will show off this wonder combo. So this one was lucky and actually does have both finishers. And then the Geary. And obviously, the last major one I can show off in this version is Remino Rock Band, which I'll pick up. I had to let the camera cool down, but obviously, if we were to... the last one, obviously, is Remino Rock Band. So yeah, that's technically all the default finishers that, for the most part, will carry through all of these versions and such. So, let's actually jump to power-ups, because those ones are obviously interesting and such. I'm not actually going to bother with... actually, we have to go through the sounds. Which I'm just gonna actually... I was gonna say, for one thing, I was gonna probably just skip it right away. So obviously, as you know how the power-up books work, is that obviously they mostly contain all the finishers to themselves. So you might be wondering, well, how exactly are you going to be able to do the finishers? Like, you know, it's like, how exactly are you going to get the finisher attacks to go along with these? Because obviously the attacks aren't programmed into here. So to do the Geki sound, you activate the book first. You press this once, and then press the cover back. Then press the trigger again. Basically, you just double tap this. That's it. to do the Geary sound, you press this once, press the page back, then just bot toe. If it actually wants to read. I think you guys get the point. So that's when you know that the attack sound is actually reads through and such, because basically you press this once and then if you focus on the light combinations, obviously it's the same and we're gonna have to sit through this a lot and such, but basically it actually goes through the entire duration of the finisher, which is cool. So now the light combination is actually in the duration of the finisher. Because if we were to use like Jaw Dragon and such, obviously this isn't programmed to do anything new because it's never been used in the sword driver, so it's not going to do anything significantly different that you can't do within the normal DX version. It's just going to have Toma's voice in it and such, which kind of leads into Rintaro's case, as I guess that'll be the first thing we'll cover if we can actually find the emblems. So obviously, because they're technically being accurate and like, you know, because Rintaro never had any corresponding attacks with King Lion Daisenki, when you do the finishers, and then when you do the Giri, it's just the exact same. So Rintaro does not have anything special. So let's continue on with wonder combos that actually do something. So Lion Senki and Peter Fantasista, Lion Fantasista. It's been a while since I've heard this jingle. So this one's actually interesting because there's no Giri sound, but there is a Geki sound. However, it is the same. It's the Leo Cascade. However, with an additional difference. So yeah, they actually added that phrase to the end of it because that's how it was done in the episode, which is cool. And then last but not least, we got Pegasus. And also we only have the Giri sound. So that's obviously basically it for Rintaro. Obviously because they're not the main riders, they don't get as much finisher capabilities. Because Espada has the same amount when we obviously use Hedgehog and Alagina. think he only has a Giri. Be patient, you. Kerberos. Yeah, I figured he didn't have that. He does have an attack for this, because that'll come up way later. But yeah, that's basically all the main finishers for this thing. But now we gotta get to the extra ones, because we gotta bring out the booster. I was gonna actually try to correlate the sounds with it, but it's not gonna work. So this is actually kind of one of the very few things the Kazuchi can actually interact with. So obviously because it was done, obviously because in the show Toma and Dragon Ignite use scan the Kazuchi with the Dragonic booster, to which then you get you actually get the finisher name for this one, along with Kento's cry, which I think is supposed to allude to how like, you know, the like, not shadow, but like, you know, the like, I forgot what you call it. You know, Espada was behind him and such. I think it's supposed to emulate that, but I know it's just because that's how it was programmed. Obviously, the Nagare has compatibility. Whoops. And then when we use it with the Rekka, yeah, surprisingly, this is one of the very few things Rekka doesn't have anything special with, and that's just because Toma never had a finisher for this. He had, like, this is technically accurate to how it was done in the show, but it's like, you know, would have been cool if there was something. But then again, that's the same thing like Lion Senki. Anyways, that's basically the entire gist of like the basics of this toy and of version 1. Now hopefully we will get to version 2. So now we got version 2 of the Sound Update Edition, which actually gives us an entirely new mode, which is when we hold down the button and switch it on. This is the Gekijoban mode to coincide with the Mumeiken Kyomun blood driver. So obviously all the like attacks and such are the same. It's just obviously the phrases when we put it in the sword driver obviously are related to the short movie. And that's it. And then Rintaro and Kento barely have anything. They only got the one phrase. And then I'll just show this off because I'm not actually. Well, I mean, I should actually probably show this off because they obviously advertise you using the emotional dragon with this. So let's just do that. So obviously the Giri's not going to change, however, obviously you activate the Geki sound by just simply double tapping it. Alright, that's not how it's supposed to work, or maybe it just, I don't know, that's for later, but yeah, basically, when you double tap this, you typically just get the attack sound. But that's obviously all you get. And obviously for like transformation sounds, phrases. Pretty sure that's it. Then again, Rintaro and Kento only have the one phrase. Obviously, for these two, it's for their like that. It's for that montage of like all the riders saying something and such. However, Rintaro actually gets a new finisher in this mode, to which we have to transform into Fantastic Lion. Yeah, they locked a kick behind a movie mode. It's the least exclusive content, I guess. Sadly, Kento doesn't get anything new because he didn't even say, again, he didn't say anything. So, let's switch back. Basically, obviously, at this point, we just have phrases from, I would say, 24 through 42? This one, version 2 went on for a pretty long time. Version 2 went to like 17 versions. Woohoo! Screaming Toma phrases! So yeah, if you couldn't tell, because I forgot, it was at early this point. Version 2 introduces actual character conversations, which is really appreciative and such. However, because if we actually skip to Kento, Kento doesn't get any content in this update at all. He only got content in the movie version. As you can tell, when I press the button, it flashes red because there's no content for him. So that's kind of disappointing. So yeah, Kento got it the worst in this version. Obviously, I'll jump across like several like trying to get to the 30s. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, that's a really neat thing that they introduced in this version. Just so then, like, those moments are, like, better recaptured than, like, you know, if it was just the two characters separately. Obviously, some moments are weird because clearly May's supposed to be in the scene, but she's not. Or, like, just other characters are clearly supposed to be in the scene, but they're not. And I will see if I could jump into Cross Saber's stuff. Let's just get back to this. Because obviously the thing that we get to do with this one is that we get to do Primitive Dragon's transformation. However, mine is dead. So, we're not gonna bother. So, basically how to set this up is that you hold on to the trigger while inserting the Seiken into the sword driver. You insert the Wonder Ride book. And then you transform. Yeah. So that's basically it. Which is pretty cool. And obviously if you do the finisher here, is that the right finisher? No, he never did a kick in Elemental. Speaking of Elemental, obviously you get a new Geary sound that I just messed up. I didn't. So yeah, so you do get one new finisher because I think according to the PDF, I think version 2.4 replaces the no, version 2.7 replaces the Dragon Ignite Geary sound with Elemental Dragon's Geary sound. So that's basically how it went, and sadly there are no Tatagami Hoju Senki phrases. Speaking of that, the pulse transformation phrases. I really like how that still carries over here, too. I really would have at least appreciated if the lights actually alternated to that character's color. I think the cross saber phrases I'm referring to are actually in the post transformation mode, not before. Well, that's basically it. Again, but nothing. So this emblem's completely pointless after 2.1. And then Rintaro obviously has a bunch of phrases. Basically, the majority of these phrases from Rintaro are depressed Rintaro. Yeah, and like, it's just really appreciative that they did that, because then like if they had it so it was on like each other characters, the conversation obviously wouldn't be as impactful.
しいと思い込んで、僕は皆さんを信じようとしませんでした。お願いです。もう一度皆さんと一緒に戦ってください。
I think that's all I'm gonna go through. There's like a lot more, I
言
think.
われなくと僕と感じる僕たちの太陽なんです。今僕が仲間がいれば水星圏流れに近く大切な人たちは僕が守る。
That's for Hoju Senki's debut.
師匠、ソフィア様もルナさんも心があります。普通のホモ・サピエンスと何の違いもありません。トーマを救おうとするケントを僕が守ります。僕たちは誓いました。3人で、はい、マスターロゴスを倒し世界の崩壊を止める。そこまでです。マスターロゴス。トーマ、僕は組織に残ります。家族は大真実
Yep,
な
we're
友を
back to the game. So then, obviously, with the post transformation,
お望みとあらばお見せしましょう。ここで師匠の敵取らせてもらいます。トーマくんの覚悟僕も見届けます。トーマくん、君は本当に救ったんですね。水星圏流れに近い世界の均衡は僕が守る。命はとっくに預けてある。僕が信じてきた一片の曇りなき組織に絶対にメイさんを救う。トーマくんはメイさんを、僕がズオスを止めます。トーマくんもメイさんもどんな時でもずっと僕を信じて諦めてくれない人がいるんです。
there are phrases with Kento, no, with Rintaro and Toma in this. I think
だ
there's.
から僕も絶対に諦めない。
Unless I skipped over it.
トーマならできます。ああ、俺たちなら絶対に救う。
There was one at least.
メイさんの物語の結末は僕たちが決める。
That one's cool.
感じるこの地下通を吸う。誤った道を歩み化け物になったお前に剣士たちが紡いできた意志が負けるはずがない。
Obviously, like I'm not gonna state. Obviously, because I don't remember which phrase, which batch of phrases come from which versions. Just watch the demo.
あなたは危険な存在。一緒に戦わせてもらいます。お望みとあらばお見せしましょう。
Yeah. So this version definitely has a lot like Toma and Rintaro content, but not Kento. Because you want Kento, then you have to go over with Toma. So let's go over version 3. Alright, so now we're at version 3.10, to which is the latest update in August. And I just realized you can actually just remove the SD card out when it's done. You don't have to switch it off and such. But there's not really anything significant within this update, which is kind of disappointing. Because it would have been cool if they actually started to try to incorporate, you know, stuff from the spin-offs, like the Swords of Logos. Well, I mean, no character that's actually, besides Kento, they could have included phrases from there, but like there's no content from like the Swordsman Residon, Swords of Logos saga. Nothing from the Saber Cross Ghosts or Spectre Cross Blades. No superhero Senki stuff because that's all in the Wonder Ride book. And yeah, so the only positive thing is that Kento's now back in this version. Other than that, the only new thing that I can actually show you in this is that when we use Dragon Dominoki, if I can actually get these out. Yeah, that's one of the new things. That's the only new addition I did not realize they added to this at all. Because the other addition you guys already saw, which is when you use a power up when you do this. As you can see, it still carries over the Dragon Ignite finisher because I discovered that during version 3. But I assume that I guess they fixed it during version 2. There goes that book. I guess at this point, obviously I should just demonstrate using other books. So like, here's Happy Jaku Dragon. Obviously it just acts the same. And let's do Ultimate Bahamut, because obviously the phrases for this stage show are in this, so if you expect something out of this. And, whoops. And last but not least, Kieran Scares Kid. So anything that wasn't in the show was just treated like how it was in the DX version. And no post-show stuff. So obviously with this one, like I stated, Superhero Senki is not in the Gekijoban mode, even though it should. Trio of Deep Sin obviously is not in here. It would have been a perfect opportunity. It would have been cool if they actually included a new memory card for Trio of Deep Sin. That would have been cool. Just, version 4, that would have been cool. Other than that, we have to deal with these phrases. I'm just going to skim through. Yep, they actually included a phrase from the special issue, which is that week I was really worried they weren't going to update the toy at all, but I'm really glad they did. Alright. I thought they were going to include the henshin, but I guess I'm way too used to the Ultimate Dice Seiken. Basically, the last few phrases are just really long passages, obviously because it's the last episode.
は仮面ライダーブレイズになりました。なので今普通のホモ・サピエンスではないものです。
That's him meaning Luna.
この戦いが終わったら聞いてほしいことがあります。水星剣流れに近い大切な人たちは僕が守る。レイさん、
I think Rintaro actually has the least phrases in this version. Oops. Because Kento actually got content.
未来は変えられる。俺はトーマを、みんなを、人の強さを信じる。人の思いがこの世界を、未来を作るんだと。そうだろ。ストリウスの手に入れた力はすごいです。残された時間は少ないかもしれない。でも僕には守りたい大切な人がいます。ああ、ここにいるみんなにだって仲間や家族やこれからもずっと一緒にこの未来を生きていきたい人がいる。俺たちだけじゃない。この世界に生きる全ての人にもそういう大切な人がいて、それぞれの物語を紡いでいる。その物語をここで終わらしちゃダメだ。
I think that one actually has all three characters.
一刻も早くストリウスにたどり着く。この世界もルナも救う。俺はお前たちを守る。どんなに遠く離れていても心はずっとつながって約束する。俺は本の素晴らしさをみんなに知ってほしい。世界のさまざまな物語を日本のみんなに。未来は変えられる。俺はトーマを、みんなを、一刻も早く。俺はお前たちを守る。どんなに遠く離れていても。
I think that's it. And then post transformation phrases.
ユーリを助けるぞ。ルナに手出しはさせない。この聖剣にかけてあなたを倒す。マスターロゴス、お前がどれだけ大きな力を手に入れようと俺たちの絆を切ることはできない。未来を、世界を創造するのは俺たちだ。これが俺たち3人の未来の物語を紡ぐ力だ。
Yes, the Kaenken Rekka has cross Saber phrases.
メギドを倒し、この争いを終わらせる。仲間たちと心と力を合わせて。ケント、トーマ、物語の結末は俺たちが決める。ユーリを助けるぞ。ルナに手出しはさせない。この聖剣にかけてあなたを倒す。
I just really like that one.
水星剣なる。
Just would have been better if it actually alternated the colors.
こいつは僕が倒します。僕は僕を絶対に諦めない。俺は
Oh,
こい
whoops.
つは僕が倒します。
Yeah, this one is.
僕を絶対に諦めない。俺は俺の思いを貫く。物語の結末は俺たちが決める。
Yeah, so that obviously those are the stuff they said before slashing down Storius with Wonder Almighty. Again, this is where I would have liked if they just changed the colors. And also, I'm actually surprised they actually kept all three of them together and not separated them. Because in that occasion, I kind of actually would have preferred if they broke it up.
俺は知った。父がみんなを裏切ったのはこの世界を、大切な仲間たちを、この俺を守るためだと。こいつは俺が引き受ける。いや、一緒に戦う。行け。こいつを倒し必ず追いつく。分かった。俺は知った。父がみんなを裏切ったのはこの世界を、大切な仲間たちを、この俺を守るためだと。こいつは俺が引き受ける。いや。
Okay, I think we went through all Kento stuff. I think Kento definitely got more content than Rintaro in this update. So that's kind of neat. The last things I need to cover, because I forgot to take it out earlier, as I later forgot my phone. So, is the Hisatz holder. So, obviously this applies to all versions, because all finishers that aren't the post-transformation phrases get carried over. I finally laughed. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. Obviously, they didn't have any phrases when they said them, but yeah, I hope that's it. I hope that actually covers the basics of this toy. To which this video is going to be like an hour 20. However, I'm going to change that because I'm going to use these last 10 minutes. So, basically, my thoughts overall on the Kaenken Rekka Sound Update Edition is that I think as Ryder's first venture into doing Yokai Watches thing and having it be a weekly task of after watching that week's episode and then going on to the Kamen Rider official site to download the file and installing it into your toy and then like experiencing that right away is really fun. This was the only way. This was my way of actually technically like keeping up with Saber, which was obviously not really right because obviously at that time I was like 2 years behind on Toku, and yet I was being up to date with this toy and such. Like it was a really fun experience to just go on the blog every week, see what's new, and then experiencing that for yourself and being like, wow, what a good amount of content, or yeah, I kind of would have preferred more. But like honestly, like this is just like this was a fun experience, which is why I would highly like recommend it at the time. Obviously, as a filming, it's August 12th, 2022. The site is down. I have the majority of the files archived, and obviously, Revice is almost done. So, this thing is kind of like half and half on like whether or not to recommend it, because like my only gripe about this toy is that I think that phrase wise this thing is excellent with how much content of phrases there are. Obviously it's mostly from the show. I would have liked if they would have like dug around a bit more. They at least tried with the short movie, but I really would have liked if for one of the weeks that we had a break, if they just did another update, including stuff from Superhero Senki. Because I think it would have been cool if we got the roll call for, like, Blades and Espada, at least. But we don't have that. And, like, I guess it's fine, because obviously we got the Wonder Ride book itself. But, like, just stuff like that. Like, it does a really good job at, like, getting stuff from the show. But not really anything outside of that. But, like, again, the fun of this, obviously, is that you had to be there for it. To which is kind of why it's really hard for me to recommend this toy nowadays, unless you're a big fan of Saber and just want a cohesive amount of phrases from the show and such. Obviously, you kind of have to do it in a very convoluted way because you have to get 3 batches of files. And I want to say the show is kind of broken up really weirdly because I think version 3 should have at least came way. I think there should have at least been 4 versions at best because I think version 2 went on a bit too long. Version 2 kind of like staggered, but like speaking of the versions, I think version 2 is honestly like the best just because of like what new it brings in. Like that's what I at least like. Version 1 is like the basics. You get all the finishers, you get like a good amount of sounds, and like, you know, that's where all your fun is going to be. Version 2 expands on the phrases, on how those are constructed, and adds a movie mode. And from then on, it's like, oh, cool. Like, the potential could get built up more here. But version 3 just kind of falls flat because it just continues off of what the latter half of version 2 does. After 2.7, they don't do anything creative anymore. They don't expand on the movie mode at all. They randomly just decide to finally fix the finisher for Dragon Dominoki, which is really weird. That's like the weirdest thing. And yet you have to keep in mind, them updating that has not been stated. That I believe. I had to figure that out myself. But basically, again, this is kind of like rambling, but it's just obviously I would recommend if you're a big fan of Saber to pick this up. And again, as I've been constantly stating, you want the files, go to the description because that's where I have them archived and such. Like, I understand people obviously not wanting to pick this thing up just because it's like, it's just the same thing with phrases, to which I kind of would have liked if we did get, if they actually like tried and actually gave us memorial-esque sounds. But like, I understand that this thing technically wasn't marketed as a memorial item, but it just happened to be in line with them. Because that's why, like, Saber's kind of weird, because again, like what I keep alluding to, Saber's memorial item got split into 2 toys. Obviously, for all the traditional, like, sounds and such, and, like, you know, toy size stuff, we got the Sound Update Edition. And it makes a lot of sense as to why they wanted to do that right from the beginning. Because obviously, with what we got, then obviously the actual memorial stuff is this thing. So, it makes sense that they didn't want to make people have to deal with getting the 2 of them at the same time, because obviously they probably knew that no one would have bought this, because people would want the nearly 1-to-1 scale version, or would want to spend their money more on that than a smaller version that just has phrases and essentially does the same functionality. So again, it was smart on Bandai to release this thing first and introduce this gimmick of updating the toy week to week. So then you can have all those phrases, and then by the end of the series, they can sell you the Ultimate Daiseiken that has all the stuff that you would expect it out of this. Except this one actually has a more additional finishers than that one, but we will get to that later. So yeah, Bandai's strategy of making you get both, pretty smart on them. And I want more things like this, because it was fun. But yeah, basically, I think you can find this thing on Mondo Arcade near for like $50 at best. I got mine full price 70 because I didn't want to bother pre-ordering this on Collectibles and get it in March because the first batch got released like right in November. So I essentially just got a batch from there and such. But it's up to you. Personally, I'll say it was fun during its run. After its run, it might seem like a really tedious process just to go through all the functionality. Again, I apologize for the length of this video. It's kind of why I held off on doing it for like 3 weeks. Now I have to actually do the demo, so fear me. I have to get this video out by next week, so that's fun, because I have like, what, 3 other big projects I need to work on? Gosh darn it. This video is going to be like an hour 20. That's not good. Anyways, I'll have to do this review. I apologize if it wasn't as cohesive as I wanted it to be. That's why I introduced the new written review format. This is Power, and I'll leave you people. Bye.